Welcome back to Life is on the Porch, but this is podcast number 7. Welcome back to another podcast. And
Absolute banger.
We're going to start off right away. And so, why didn't you cycle today?
Well, my motivation, first off, is downhill. I still experience, who experiences post-race blues? Like 3.5 months. It's been 3.5 months. Yeah, 3.5 months. Yeah, December, January, 4 months.
Wait, I got a question for y'all. So, I still have a stick. But should I just not really edit the podcast and just leave it like this without zooming in? What do you think? Do you think I should just since you don't edit the podcast, do you think I should just zoom it in, just leave it blank?
I don't know. It's nice zooming in. I don't know.
Let us know in the comments. So that's gonna be the question of the day. What do you think I should do? Should you think I should edit it zoom in, zoom out, switch, focus on him for a little bit, focus on me for a little bit? What do y'all think? Anyways, back to you.
Okay, so it's actually, since it is almost March 12th, it's been now 4 months since I raced my marathon, which is just mind-boggling to me. Which means I haven't ran really in 4 months. Finally have a doctor's appointment scheduled.
Yeah, I'm actually scheduled it with you. March 25th at 8 a.m. with Dr. Collada.
Which is helping me in a little bit, but sometimes I go on a test run, but over the past week, I lost some motivation just to go for a run because of the pain scale. I finally have a doctor's appointment. I don't want to push the pain anymore, and I'm having really fun cycling right now, having a break from running. But when I want to get back to that routine of running. There's something in life that I'm missing right now, and that is how life was in Colorado. I know that is not how life can always be.
Yeah, it's actually a struggle I am dealing with too. I wish that's what my life I want to be like, is how I lived in Colorado. I wake up, I go grab a coffee at Starbucks about a mile away. I don't even have to do that, I don't even have to go walk over to Starbucks, pay $5 to get a cup of coffee. I can literally make it at home. And then go get a Cliff Bar pour some bear bites, as it always has to be bear bites. Go for a mountain run, and yes, a mountain run. It has to be a mountain run. Most likely, me and you are probably going to live in Colorado. We say we're going to live in Mandeville, Louisiana, but I think we're going to start there, and then soon we're going to end up in Colorado somehow, because we overall miss the mountains. I think we can go to some other type of mountains.
Tucson.
I think
Tucson.
We can go
Tucson,
to, I feel like we would like that, but I feel like we might like Colorado better. Yes, Tucson, whatever, is a lot hotter and feels better, but I feel like we want Colorado because I think we just like how Colorado was, because the Denver area, I love Denver area, especially Lions Den Pizzeria. That was just absolutely amazing. And then I would say that just the lifestyle. Then I would come back and eat some pancakes, and then I would go out to eat, just kind of like that lifestyle. And I did edit. My video quality was not the greatest, it's still kind of toony, trendy to watch, I guess. But I don't know, that's just for my sake because of memories. I don't know if it's actually that good. But overall, over the past a few weeks or so, no, I would say just the past week, I've been kind of playful, not really very focused on my work or anything like that, building the business, anything like that.
Yeah.
And which is not good, actually. Ever since New Orleans, it kind of broke my routine.
Yeah.
And once I guess when I broke my routine, it kind of destroyed my actual routine, my work ethic, everything like that. Overall, it didn't. I still have a very hard work ethic, but it kind of just broke it. During New Orleans, I should have maintained quite some of the same routine, wake up, edit a little, instead of wake up, just not editing, not doing really anything beside core. Let's say I woke up in New Orleans and didn't do the core routine I did. I don't think I would have came back and ended up doing the core routine, because I would have broke that routine, and I actually would have liked that routine of not doing it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's when you start a routine, you just gotta stick with it and do it. Yes, you need that mental break from your routine all the time, but I wouldn't say too long, or you won't end up doing it and you won't stick to it. And make sure when you create a routine, you gotta love what you're doing and everything. and everything like that. But I would say I'm gonna hopefully hop back on to the routine of what I was doing, the routine of me building our business, MC running, the t-shirts, everything like that, which is actually a lot of hard work to build a t-shirt brand, everything like that, and make a cookbook, everything like that, and edit YouTube, which is very hard as a new beginning YouTubers who only has 379 subscribers as when we are filming this on Tuesday of this week. I guess when we're going to post this on Sunday, we filmed it Tuesday, but we only had 379 at that point, so it's very hard for us to have faith, I guess, have a lot of faith in getting our YouTube stuff together, building our business, everything like that, because it's like, what is the point if we only have 379? Is this actually going to work out, or am I going to have to do something else and not like that routine? I mean, my overall goal is to actually become a pro runner with having a YouTube channel, or at least sub-elite or something like that with having a YouTube channel. And my hip is getting better, so it kind of makes me, I would say it's not getting better, but it's getting better. It's like, it has good days, it has bad days, and so like, it makes me hopeful of having become a sub-elite runner, or maybe even a pro runner who is sponsored by a shoe company, which is Hoka, hopefully. But it could be any other, or it can just be, I'm not really sponsored, but I make money through YouTube and everything like that.
Yeah, but that goes back to the mental side, and especially why I didn't bike today. I woke up knowing this morning was, like, when I woke up this morning, there's something offsetting when I woke up, and some mornings are like that. But it goes back to my motivation. My motivation hasn't really been there, because at the end of the day, what am I really training for? I mean, I have no goal race in my mind. My foot or injury is not getting any better. I'm not going anywhere.
It's not getting any better? It's not even slightly getting better? No. We haven't really talked about it that much, I know, because, I don't know, we just talk about a bunch of other stuff. So it's not getting any better?
No, nor is it getting worse. I mean, last Tuesday in New Orleans, it was horrible.
But it didn't really hurt walking around in New Orleans, because overall I would say my hip hurt 40% of the time walking in New Orleans, to be honest. 60% of the time it didn't hurt. But then when I would start walking on it a bit more, putting more pressure, I guess the longer I walked, and then if I walked and then sat down for a while and then started walking again, it would start to hurt, you know.
Yeah, but my overall, like, my mental side is just not there. I'm not saying with the sport of athletics, but without running, I feel like I am part of running. Without it, or without my sport, not really anything. As you can tell, I love running way more than I love biking. But since my injury, I developed to love biking, but kind of like the same routine every day.
Yeah, like, okay, so
not creating a training plan, because there's not really bike races that I can participate in.
Swift races.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's something so off, and I've been having a lot of stress lately since 2022. 2022 it's been a rough year for me mentally, not physically, I guess, but especially mentally. I just have not been mentally there at all. It's kind of like I hide behind a closed door. I mean, it's not good at all. I would love to maybe go talk to a therapist at some point, because I sit in a bad situation about 3 of the 7 days a week, which is overall not good. It affects how I feel in a day. It affects my training. That I supposedly, what am I training for? I ask myself questions every single day that I wake up, and hopefully I keep waking up. But not something I should have laughed at. But
if I did have to go, I would like to go in my sleep, because you know, I think everybody would say they would like to go in their sleep. Just kind of being weird at that point, because it's kind of weird. But like, I would prefer to die in my sleep, because I don't want to suffer or anything like that. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, but my mental, like, it almost to where I point, like, maybe I just need to take a big step down. But without my sport, I get even more stressed out since I feel like I'm part of the sport. Like I'm so into the sport that when I'm taken away, it gets even worse. But sometimes it's just so mentally bad. And the reason I didn't bike this morning is I was tired. My mental side was not there. I was just mentally thinking of so much. I was kind of stressed out, and so when I went on the bike, it was just.
Where you cycled?
No,
when I was
wait.
at PT?
No, I didn't. When I thought about going onto the bike, I'm like, this is it. I'm just not ready today. I mean, there's no point. And I listen to podcasts sometimes on my bike. But yeah, I think it was about Ryan Hall's podcast I was listening to, and it said the difference between training in the off season or actually training for a race. And I see now that on the total another topic, I see why athletes actually lost motivation when they're in COVID time, because I'm actually kind of getting a feeling for that right now.
That's actually so true, actually. I didn't realize it during COVID because that's actually when I became into endurance athletics and everything like that, and I started to really gain a perspective because I was not into biking at that time. When a year prior to that, I would hate cycling. I'm like, oh my god, we gotta go on a 3-mile cycling bike ride, whatever. Oh, we gotta run around the. I was really good at endurance and everything like that, but I hated it. I despised it. A year after that, when COVID hit, my perspective changed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what went over me. It's like COVID happening is like a big spark took over me, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, but
you love running.
Now I see
something
why
that you missed in your life. But now I see actually why a lot of athletes struggled.
Yeah,
because there was no races at all. Zero.
And that's why people race, because they have something to train for. Like, I'm not really having something to train for, and I'm just gonna be honest. My motivation's not there every day. It's not. I have very poor motivation. I feel like I lost a lot of motivation. But it's because I have nothing to train for. My training is not taking me anywhere. I'm not going anywhere with it, especially since I'm not able to run. Like, my injury's not getting better, so I'm not able to run, that means I'm not going to be able to race in a long time. And maybe when I actually start running, I can start to build back up to something and maybe have some type of plan. But I say I'm going to race the Gulf Coastal Marathon this year, but I'm not even able to run yet. So how am I going to race the race or even start training for it when I'm not even really able to run? And so my biking training...
I feel like it's a tradition now. No matter if we got to run or if I got to run. We got to go to Gulf Coastal no matter what.
Yeah.
So
and what's crazy, what's kind of sad is 2 years ago, I started running. Yep. And I PR'd in the half, well, that was my first half marathon, running a 1:30:19, which was the week before COVID, which started my running journey. And then a year later, I ran on March 7th again, but in 2021, I ran another half marathon, sub 90 this time, 1:27:45. And then a year later, in 2022, I was supposed to race again. But I had this. But back to Ryan's Hall's podcast, it was about athletes training during off season versus like when they have an injury versus when they're training for an actual race. It's very different factors. When you're training for an injury, you never want to push through pain. Just go, whatever you're dealing with, you feel pain, just don't do it.
And that's like when you are returned to injury as well. If you feel pain, well, first you start with a walk. If you feel any pain on a walk, you'll head home. If you're good, they say if you're good for pain, you start off with 20-minute walk, then you progress to 40 or 30, then you progress to an hour. If you're pain-free, you're good for a run. But if you start running and you feel pain, then what am I doing with this? Anyways, if you feel pain, you gotta head home. You gotta stop. You might have to reassess everything like that.
Yeah, and when you're training for a race, you feel a lot more motivated because you know what your goal is. You have a determination, like, I gotta do this because I have, in like whatever weeks or whatever months, I have this race plan. I'm gonna do it. Sometimes you have to actually change stuff around, like, oh, I feel a little tired today, or I feel a little weak. So the speed workout might change in a day, the long run. Or sometimes you might have to lower the miles. But you're still trying to do everything compared to a training block. like, oh, I'm kind of, compared to out of a training block, you're like, I'm kind of tired today. I'm just not going to do anything today. I'm just unmotivated.
They'll say though, if you are a pro athlete, you will have to train during the off season. If you are a pro athlete right now, today, you would have to train. Like, you would be forced to train.
Not really, because I know Sage.
Okay, but Sage is not coached. He's self-coached. I'm talking about a coached athlete.
No, because I heard about. There's some bad coaches out there that dig you into the wall, but then there's some really good coaches. I listened to the Newberry Parks coach, and they go on a 10-day training cycle, and that's because they go on it for a reason, so the athletes can take some days off, because their training is pretty intense, I would say. I mean, look how good of a team they are. I mean, they probably recruit. I mean, you can't just get that good from, I mean, they definitely recruit probably, but they still train crazy. So some
I think
days
it's actually illegal to recruit athletes.
No.
Oh, it's not illegal to recruit athletes in high school.
Recruit
it's illegal
in the
to
season.
pay and recruit
Yeah.
for other thing.
Yeah.
So.
Or recruit in the season for high school.
Yeah. Or with like you paying for their school, like let's say it's like a Catholic school or something, and you recruit them and you pay for their school. Like it's like a $10,000 school, and the school pays for that. That's illegal, I think.
Okay, but back to actual training. During my marathon training block, I had a goal in my mind to run a marathon. Whatever time that would have been, I had a goal, and I wanted to. So I was way more motivated, had strong motivation. I would actually do all my training versus now. I don't really do it as much. Well, I do, but I have no goal in my mind, so my motivation lags sometimes. And I just kind of skip out. I'm like, I'm kind of tired today. And I actually am. Maybe I actually need a break in my... But I feel a lack of motivation. But all my body is telling me, you need that break. We always feel like we lack of motivation as athletes who have had strong motivation. But it's just because our body's telling us to take a break. Compared to other people who don't, like, I don't know, don't do exercise at all. And they just skip on the workout. That's so different compared to when athletes actually skip a workout, because their body's actually telling you need to take a rest. And my body's
it'd be different if you're saying I'm skipping a workout to go eat a brownie or a cake or something like that. That's different compared to I'm actually skipping training because I'm not eating a brownie, but I need a rest.
Yeah.
Like that's different.
Yeah, and my body at the end they told me I need rest, and maybe I keep telling myself this, and everybody on YouTube knows about everything happens for a reason. Probably one of my favorite words, and I love to use those words because after my marathon, I went through a heavy training cycle. A lot of training, and I had a lot of drive, but I kind of maybe needed a longer break than I really thought I would. I mean, at the end of the day, I went from a 1:27:45 half to a 2:54:08 marathon, and I wasn't really just training from August 2nd to December 12th. I was actually training from March 20th after the 10 days I took off or whatever after the half marathon to back to all the way to December 12th, because I never stopped training really. I took some downtime, but I was always full in action. I never took like days off. I mean, the most I took off was 4 days. That was after Colorado. That's because I was just trying to get...
just took like 3 days after the beach, I think.
How much 2 days.
That was it?
Yeah.
How much did I take off? You remember? I don't remember.
It's probably 2.
Yeah.
But I was dealing with shin splints and stuff. But
that was way too lean.
Yeah, that's why I was dealing with shin splints. Literally, it sounds like I'm sarcastic right now, but that was actually why I was dealing with shin splints. But I mean, it's just been a lack of motivation, and I'm not gonna say it's from the long training cycle I was going through, because I didn't get burnt out mentally from training for a race. I got burnt out mentally because I have nothing in my mind or in my training plan that I'm actually training for. I have no race in my head to actually train for, and it causes me to have a lack of motivation. It causes me to want to train, but in the form of running, and I'm not able to do that. So that's even more motivation loss, and so it affects all my other training, the core work, the strength work, the biking. But I'm back to the strength work. Not have much motivation to go strength train, and yes, people are saying, who cares? You gotta go strength train. But I just didn't feel like I've been in the right mindset to go to the gym and actually strength train. Like, I don't know. I just need running back in my life to actually feel normal. But do I? Is that thing that I'm actually missing? Because, I don't know. Ever since I raced my marathon, there's just been something so off. Like, 2 weeks later, there's just been, like, something off. And each week it gets worse and worse and worse, and my mental side just keeps going downhill. And I don't know what's going on, but it just keeps on losing lack of motivation. So I'm hoping 2 weeks on March 25th, I can actually get some word. Maybe I can actually create a training block for my bike. But maybe what good would that do? What would I actually train for, and what would be the point? Because it's not running. I mean, like, if it's not...
And the bad thing, when you do return to running, you can't even schedule a race because you have to be working on building that aerobic base back again. Because if you just sign up for a race, well, look what's going to happen to you. Your foot's
but
gonna flare.
I don't think that's going to be as big as a problem, because I love the sport of running so much than all the other sports out there. Because in Colorado and other stuff like that, I didn't really have a training block, and I just kept on running. I really enjoyed it and I loved it, but I mean, so I think it would be a little bit different, but still, you gotta build that aerobic base, and having no race in my head can cause a lack of motivation. But since it's a sport of running and I train in the sport without a training block, I think it would actually not be that big of a deal compared to biking. I don't know what I'm really training for. I don't really see the benefits. And I said I want to become an Ironman, but I can't really do anything with... Like, running just makes me whole, I feel like. And with running, I can actually feel motivated to go biking. I can feel motivated to go to the gym. And maybe I can end up feeling motivated to jump in the pool and start swimming, maybe. I just feel so much more motivated all around compared to biking. Like, I don't feel as much motivated because I don't race bikes. I just bike to keep up my fitness and use cross-training methods during my training block. I don't really use it as like racing. So when I'm just training for it in a different way, and when I'm out to sport, I just don't have as strong as a motivation.
It'd be
and it does
different
affect me.
Like, if you weren't injured from running, you know, and you were biking, like, you're just taking a break from running because you want to, not because you're forced to, but you want to, and you're actually cycling. That would be different, because at any point in time you can return to running.
Yeah.
But at this point, you can't. At any point in time, you can't return to running.
Yeah.
Your body is telling you when you can return to running. It's not you, but it's your body.
Yeah, and it
so
really
it makes it completely different. Like,
and it affects me even more, because when's the next run will I go for?
Like, when I was...
How much longer? And it affects the biking. Like, when on the bike, I sometimes think, when I get back to running, where will my biking fitness go? Like, what type of question is that? Like, I didn't bike through my marathon training block for 2+ hours, but since I've been doing it for so long, I'm gonna have to feel like I have to bike. And that's where at the end of the day, that's where my overtraining back in the late 2020 came from, because when I got injured with quadricep tendonitis, I started back slow with biking, and I was doing these long bike workouts. And so when I got back introduced into running, I was start running and biking and it just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And so I'm hopefully will not make that mistake again. But hopefully when I get back to the sport of running, I'm thinking about like taking a week off from the bike and slowly building my aerobic base, and so I can kind of get mentally reset for the bike and start implementing into my running training, and then slowly build up back into the running with also biking and maybe with swimming, and of course the gym work, because I said I would get stronger in this off season why I'm injured with running. But the only way I'm doing that is on the bike with big gear. And I say it is really helping me with my strength work, but not the strength work that I was kind of thinking of.
Yeah, like when I was in 2020, when I was cycling and everything like that, I was able to run and everything like that, but I think I actually like cycling a lot more because, I don't know, cycling was different from me. I told Mom, like, dude, I love cycling more than running. I know I do. Like, cycling's so different. Like, I love it so much.
It is so different. It really is.
Like, and I was like, dude, I love it so much. Like, it's so much different from running, and I don't know how you can like run it more than cycling. Cycling is just amazing. You can go on these long 8-hour bike rides to really test the mind.
I feel like
cycling is more mental than running.
Because you have to go longer.
You go longer. Like a 100-mile ride is basically like the marathon of cycling.
Yeah.
Because the 100-mile ride is like the great barrier between you and becoming like a true cyclist.
Now, a 100-mile ride with 10,000 feet of climbing is like the ultra.
Yeah.
Cycling.
Or like, it's like, no, that's like the 200-mile ride. It's like the ultra marathon of running. The 100-mile ride. Or like 300, whatever. Like, it's like you up your game when you become a 100-mile cyclist. Like, you become like a true cyclist once you hit that 100-mile, and then you become a true runner when you hit that marathon time.
I disagree.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say though. Like, you become like a marathon runner. Like, you just like open up basically, and like it's just like it's like that distance that lets you know that
it's the distance that everybody wants you to do,
and you think you're doing. And the marathon is 4 hours long, like 4 or 5 hours long, and a 100-mile ride is like 6 hours to like, I don't know, depending on your fitness, depending on how fast, 6 to 12 hours, maybe even like.
I was saying about 4 to 12 hours.
Yeah, it's really
just like a marathon between 2 hours to 6 hours.
But it really depends how much vertical you come, where are you living? Like, is how humid, how cold, where's the elevation, how high are you, what's the like up and down? It's everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, since my injury, I mean, there is some bright sides, like I said. I mean, without running, I feel like I'm nothing, but I began to like biking a lot more. Not more than running, but I began to start loving the sport of biking also, and I became to experience like, oh, I get to experience this beauty sometimes, because when I'm actually running during training block, I'm not going to be able to do these 100-mile rides. But what I thought about on Saturday when I did my 100-mile ride during the ride, and also on Sunday the day after, I'm like, maybe when I get back to running, and actually when I'm in a running training block, some days instead of a long run for the high impact stuff that running brings, maybe I can do a brick workout, like a 5-hour cycling workout into a 5-mile run, or a 100-mile ride, or just a 5-hour cycle and the next day run, or just don't do a long run every week, but kind of influence the biking into the sport of running, so you don't have that much impact when you're running. You build strength with the big gear, and you possibly not get as injured as much because you can get much stronger, and also you're not having all that impact and stress that you get from the sport of running, and not that you don't get as much in the sport of cycling with all the joints impact, the ligaments, which actually I noticed my joints have became weaker since I haven't been running, but it still causes a lot of impact to your tendon, your joints, your ligaments, all your.
This is what I actually found. Okay, so yes, my joints are weaker since I haven't running, because running makes your joints stronger. They say your knees become weaker or whatever. No, I feel like actually that's the complete opposite, and your knees actually become stronger.
They do.
But like, I actually feel like doing the core movements, like PT, doing the glute bridges with the resistance, like the black and red band, core, glute bridge, hip thrust, what's it called? The clamshells, leg raises, makes the joints feel stronger. I feel more stable on my feet. I feel more stronger on my feet when I'm able to do that. And it feels better. I feel stronger, you know.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
And it hurts less. And like my running form, I don't know how my running form is. But like, it used to be like my knee, here's my knees. Boom, 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 boom. Like, you know, now it's like, it's not hitting each other. Like, literally, when I would return to running, my knees were like that. They were hitting each other. They were
Yeah.
like the hip torque, the heel tilt would all like hit each other. Now it's just like it's still tilting, it's dropping everything, but it's not like super severe.
Yeah, but you know what I kind of mean by like my joints are.
Yeah,
but,
like it's just like the stimulus isn't
like
there.
during my marathon training block and all my sport running, I used the bike a lot, especially in my marathon training block. And I kept lowering it as I lowered my miles. But I don't have to do as much weekly miles in running, and I could do overall less miles in running while influencing bike into my training. So I can get injured less. I can go with my training a lot longer, and maybe have more fitness over time because I can remain overall way more consistent because my training isn't as demanding with the impacts of running. I mean, it is still as demanding since I is using the bike, but not as much as I would get with 80-mile weeks. I can run 50 to 60-mile weeks of running and do like 5 to 8 hours on the bike, like I kind of was in November. Just I wasn't doing as much running, but I kind of had that type of feeling that, oh, you don't have to run every day. You can use the bike to kind of, because I remember the week before my marathon, in the month of November, when I was trying to get back from my injury, my small little injury that I had before my marathon, every Saturday I would do a small little run, and then I would go biking. And so I started off with a 7-mile run into a 2-hour bike ride, and then later on the next week, 8-mile run into a 100-mile ride, which took like 5 hours on Zwift. It wasn't outside, and so that was a 6-hour training day. And then the following week, right before my marathon, I hadn't ran in a while, so I want to kind of get the impact of and the stress of running. But since I haven't been doing so much activity, I also wanted to do a bike ride, so I did a 15-mile long run into a 2.5-hour easy cycle, which was a 4.5-hour training day the week before my marathon. And I feel like that actually helped me for my marathon. I think like if I didn't do it, I think I would actually have done worse, because it allowed me to taper fresh and make me feel better more mentally and physically, because I'm like, I think I'm actually ready for this. If I was able to do this today, I think I'm going to be ready for my marathon. And so having that and thinking of that right now, like when I get back to running, I think the bike is actually going to be more helpful. And maybe that's why everything happens for a reason. This injury is not just giving me a break from running, but it's helping me actually realize that I don't need to run every day. I don't need to run these 60 to 70-mile weeks of running. I can actually run 50-mile weeks and actually cycle and use the bike. I don't have to go on these 20-mile long runs every week in a training block. I can go on like a 10-mile long run or whatever, and I can go cycle for a lot longer. So maybe this injury happened, so it helps me realize I can actually use the bike a lot more than when I used in my marathon training block, and it can actually help me with, especially helping me stay healthy and feel a lot stronger, because I don't have to run 80-mile weeks, because overall that does tear me down. And I think it tore me down a little bit for my marathon.
Yeah, I personally think you weren't ready for 80-mile weeks, just because.
And you forget, I was walking.
Wait, maybe you were ready for 80-mile weeks, but you were running them too fast.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yes.
Not running speed works really affected every single run and made me feel so energized for every run that I never actually took an easier run. And I never ran.
Like 9-minute pace or 10-minute pace, or even in the 8-minute paces. You never really ran that. You were running in the low 7s, even in the 6s.
Yeah, and think of my walk.
So think about, like, you could have ran like 80 miles. And with that pace, I personally.
And with walking, my walks after my runs were like 1.5 to 2 miles, and they were 13-minute per mile paces sometimes. Typically around 14 to 15, but still very fast walking there. And so with walking, instead of an 83-mile week I reached the highest, I walked like 13 miles that same week. That's a 96-mile week. And that's what I think officially started breaking me down, and because I was running overall too fast, and it kind of just like depleted me. It made me kind of like start breaking down my muscles, and I reached a peak fitness way too soon. And so if I think I influenced the bike a little bit more, and which this injury really helped me realize that I think so. Yes, everything teaches you a lesson, and this injury, whenever it gets better, it has already taught me a few lessons already, and that is with the biking impact and reflecting more on my marathon training block. I don't think I would have reflected as much on my marathon block as if I didn't get injured. I was able to keep training and keep running, but since I got injured, I was able to keep on reflecting on my marathon block for longer and longer, and I don't know how long my injury is going to last, but it's going to keep allowing me to reflect on my training block and keep learning more throughout this injury, because every day you can learn something. But with this injury, I can learn a lot more about my journey that I want to create with the sport of running, or maybe with the sport of triathlon. So I don't really know. It's just I hate it, but it's kind of been, I hate saying this too, but I think it's kind of been helping me, and not just a physical way, but also a mental way.
Like your injury has been helping you?
Yeah.
I would say,
in a way.
Yeah, I was like, what are the 3 things that, or whatever, that your injury has taught you?
It allowed me to reflect on my marathon block. Like which takes like a lot of many things that I learned from it. I realized that I don't have to really run on like a top performing shoe like the
Hoka Carbon X2.
Yeah, the Hoka Carbon X2s. So I looked it up, and because I was developing heel pain, I see if those shoes like that can cause heel pain. And ever since I started running it, I slowly started developing heel pain. And I'm not saying that's what it really caused it, but I have a feeling it kind of did. And running in those shoes, I felt maybe I can just stick to easy day shoes like the Cliftons or the Mocs. And also, patience. It taught me a lot of patience. I mean, so I'm learning more and more patience every day. And like I said earlier, using the bike a lot more in my training. Even when I get back to running, 50-mile weeks is perfectly fine. Even if I don't bike in the week, 50 miles a week is perfectly fine. Because I had a different standard set for myself. Oh, you need to get to this certain miles a week, even if it's not healthy for you. And so I had that type of mindset, I feel like. But now since I'm like, you learn a lot, I don't think that's the best for you.
Dude, I just realized the time changes this week.
So it would be 6:15?
March 7th. Wait, it changes this week.
Yeah, on Sunday.
That's amazing.
Saturday night.
That kind of stresses me out, ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, because we're losing. So when you wake up,
it's gonna be 8? 7? So if I wake up at 6, it's gonna be 7?
If you wake up at 7, it'll be 8.
I love when I wish the time kind of changed the other way around. You know,
it already does.
No, like, you know what I mean. Like if you wake up at 7, it's 6. I wish it was kind of doing that again. You know.
Yeah.
Because it affects a lot of people's training. Like it affects like YouTube. It affects training. It affects my life. It affects everything like that.
Yeah, because it'll affect my training probably, because I'll have to probably train on Sunday since I didn't train today. But I'm not gonna force it again, because just because I train 5 days out of 7 days a week, if I end up training the rest of the days of the week, not including Sunday, that's 5 days, and I act like, oh, you need to train 6 days a week because that's what you've always been doing. But 5 days is perfectly fine. But if I end up training Sunday, well, it's gonna mess me up. But that'll be 6 days.
Like, what time is it right now? Because I feel like the sun's setting a lot earlier now. Yeah, it is setting a lot earlier. Like, that's gonna affect overall a lot of people's training. It's gonna make them feel more tired. It's gonna make them feel more sluggish. It's gonna have to make them wake up earlier, which is gonna affect a lot of people's training. It's gonna affect a lot of people's like work ethic and everything.
Yeah,
like
because
it's gonna end up
you're getting less hours of sleep,
and it's gonna cause people's recovery to suffer. It's gonna cause a lot of people to get injured because your recovery is not there. It's gonna allow people to just kind of like lose their motivation because they're getting burnt out from not being used to that switching time, you know. But that's what's kind of bad about the time change.
We can make up bloopers.
Dude, I have a lot of bloopers. Right, it's this. Stop. That's you. Oh my god. We actually need to create a bloopers. Oh god. But the thing about time changes is overall it's just gonna affect a lot of people's schedule and mentality and everything like that, which is overall not good.
Well, make my mental side even worse than it already is. I don't think it get. I mean, yeah, it can get worse, but I don't know. I think it's best if I go end up talking to a therapist this year because 2020 has not been an easy year for me. Just 2021 was the best year I ever had, especially PRing in the half marathon. Then 9 months later, running a 2:54:08 marathon and being able to run and get so consistent over the 12 months,
even though
over the year of
overall,
2021.
You know how
like that was the best year, and then I entered into 2022 with an injury, and it just keeps getting worse. And well, the injury remains consistent, but it affects me worse and worse by month, even by day. And before you know it, it'll be the end of the year, and I'm like, my reflections of the year, it might be pretty bad. I already can say that they're going to be way worse than 2021. But you can't always have a better year. You can't like sometimes you're training about, you do a training block, it wasn't as good as last one, but you can't just keep progressing in a training block. This one was better. This one was better, and you keep on. Sometimes you're going to have a downhill, just like in races. This race was better than last. This one was even better. You're not going to have it like that. You're going to have, this race was a lot more worse than last one, because you're not going to have it perfect all the time, especially with weather, and so it impacts. So I'm not going to keep having. So it's part of life to have bad months, bad days, and even bad years of the 12 months that there is in a year.
Even bad decades.
Yeah,
a 10-year period, which is not good, but you know that's the way. Even though my 2021 year, overall it was pretty bad, being injured for a total of 10 months. I ain't gonna lie to you, 10 months, maybe 9 months, but 3 of those months I hit one of my best running, a lot of miles reach, not the smartest things, a lot of running miles. I got a bunch of PRs, overall. I PR'd in the half marathon actually in 2021. I also, which was a workout, I also ran up a 14er. I had fun in Colorado. Overall, 2021, I will say, was probably one of my best years. Even though I was injured for a long time, I can look at it as one of the worst years of my life. But I'm like,
I just wish I was a dog.
Dude, no.
So random.
Dude, you had one of the best years of your life in 2021.
Who, me?
No, me.
And me.
Yeah, both of us. I guess it's twin telepathy or something like that.
I wish I was a dog.
Why?
Because they just sleep and they don't really worry about anything.
I know, they can just go run. So.
Maybe I wonder if they get stressed out from not getting pet. I'm not getting pet right now. I'm so stressed out, man. How many times they might keep counting. I didn't get some pet this month and this year, and this year sucks.
I didn't get as much attention.
I didn't get bait treats and stuff either. I don't know. We act like I'm being a dog, but what if they're not perfect either? Everybody, I guess, can hide behind closed doors.
Even
you look at someone, you want to wish you lived their life sometime. Not live their life, but kind of have their life like theirs, or you could be like them. But they might be hiding behind closed doors, and they're totally different. I try to express myself on camera I would.
Truly express myself how I am. With the emotions I show and everything like that. I try not to hide behind closed doors on the camera. I try to keep it 100% real and everything like that. Mm-hmm. While other YouTubers will literally hide behind closed doors. Yeah, they will act completely different on the camera. They will play and act. They will literally
it's not
play
their fault.
and act.
I'm not gonna. It's really,
they'll become an actress or actor because they are literally playing not their true self.
It's not really their fault. It's how social media impacted people. At the end of the day,
which is sad.
It just gets worse and worse. And I think 2021 since after COVID, once COVID hit, social media became more popular and stuff, and fitness and stuff, and it impacted a lot of people's influence and impact in social media worth that they feel like they have to be perfect, so it affects how they actually live versus how people see them live, whether if it's on camera or not. they are two completely different persons. And I try to express myself as much on the camera as you see on me on YouTube. Like, I try to act like how I do in my own time when I'm by myself, like I do on the camera. Sometimes it's not always like that. Sometimes I just
I'm more pumped up for the camera sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
and
that's
sometimes
normal. I think every YouTuber, like Seth, do you think?
like some things I just need to keep to myself. I don't need to express everything that,
Like-
but I try to keep my personality like I do in the normal life as I do into the camera. Like my personality really doesn't change as much.
Yeah,
Overall, it's the same. I act the same. It's nothing really different.
like I would say like every YouTuber, I would say like overall.
I will say though, I do act goofy a lot. Like some I don't express that much on camera.
Like a little, like we're a little.
I like to be a little bit more serious on camera.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I would say maybe we should act a little bit more like like ourselves maybe, but I feel like we need to show a little bit maturity.
yeah.
But-
I act goofy, but
I'm
at
also,
the end of the day,
mature.
I know when to be mature.
Like,
If I want to be goofy, I'll be goofy, but at the same time, I know when to act more mature.
Yeah, like it's just like I know when to focus and everything like that. Like, but overall, I feel like every YouTuber can hide behind a closed door. There's some YouTubers that are completely real and honest with you, like Nicholas Christie, Seth Demore, and then there's other ones like this channel called Nikocado Avocado or whatever his channel is. I don't know, but anyways, Seth is probably dealing with a lot of stress. Posting every single day is very tough. I can see that being very mentally challenging. Like, dude, I gotta post. Like, I don't know how you don't get mentally burnt out. Like, how you don't want to break. Like, I'm like, dude, we can allow you a break. Like, you can take a break. Like, I always thought about doing this with our channel actually, where we actually film a podcast like every day, or two podcasts a day or something. We post a podcast every single day, with maybe continuing our vlog or post one vlog.
Yeah, but how long would it last?
But post one vlog per week or 2 vlogs per week with posting a podcast every day, or just posting a podcast every single day, or actually just posting a podcast every single day. And when we post a podcast every day, every now and then, just kind of out of the blue, we'll post a vlog or something.
It's
like
not
that
hard to make a podcast. But it's just the time. Like typically we talk throughout the day, but it's not for like an hour straight like we do on a podcast.
Yeah.
So it's just the time management that goes into it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could kind of make a video that's like, we talk here, but that would be kind of a mess, and I don't want that at all.
Yeah, like I kind of want this to be structured. Like overall, this is a true conversation, but it's also not. It's like kind of like I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the camera as well. I'm talking to the audience on the other side of the camera.
When I talk to you without the camera, it feels like I have the camera. Like today, when I was laying in my bed and I was editing, that's how we kind of influenced this podcast.
Yeah,
that we're filming today. Why I told you why I wasn't biking. I was listening to this podcast. I acted like the camera was on, but it really wasn't.
I feel like sometimes the camera's on me, but on the other times I don't. Like sometimes when the camera's on me, I'm a little bit more goofy or I'm a little bit more serious. Every time, like when I film a podcast, I like am talking to you, but I'm like also talking to the YouTube audience. All of Dude. Dude, what?
I don't know.
Should I even include this in the podcast?
I don't know. Let's go.
I might include this in the podcast. But anyways, like I feel like I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the YouTube audience because I have to be a little bit more serious. Like let's say if I was just talking to you, I might be a little bit more serious. I might be a little bit more goofy, like
probably goofy.
Yeah.
Before we always start these podcasts, we're always goofing off.
Let us know if we should actually create like a bloopers of this. Like I have quite a few bloopers.
Or just include what we do before the podcast.
Like
it's
seriously.
like almost like a ritual that we do before the podcast.
Like seriously, like we'll play with the camera and everything like that. Well, like literally, I was swinging before, acting like a child, son. Like I missed being a kid. I had more freedom. I enjoyed running more, everything like that. I don't know. This podcast is just going off topic, but at the end of the day,
I don't even know what this podcast is gonna be called.
But this, at the end of the day, that's a podcast. It's called podcast. I don't know what a podcast actually means.
Pod.
But I'm gonna have to look that up after this podcast. because I'm actually curious what it means. But like, this is a podcast at the end of the day. We're talking, like, you're supposed to listen.
It's a real life conversation.
I'm actually talking, and then I'm communicating, and the audience is supposed to listen. You know, that's how a podcast works. But it's kind of funny, not gonna lie. But
Yeah.
I miss being a kid. I felt like everything was more fun, more enjoyable. I had like more sense of excitement and everything like that. Like, it was more fun.
I remember like 7th grade and 6th grade, especially in the bus, eating whatever I want, literally packing an ice chest for lunch, with a whole bunch of snacks, and then I would go run like right after. Like, if I go eat, I cannot run literally
Like,
5 minutes
I'll get a
after I
size.
take a bit.
I'll
like
get-
after
I'll
I
get
take a bite of something.
I'll get a size. I'll get a side. I literally will get a side stitch. Like, when I was a kid, I would get side stitches. I was like, dude, what is this side?
No, I don't even feel. I was
Like,
so
where
young,
is
I
this?
didn't even know.
No, like, I learned track out.
When we did cross country when we were younger, we didn't have a watch. So like when coach told us to go run for like 45 minutes, we did go run no distance track. Oh, let's just race. We literally go as hard as we can in an easy run because we didn't know what easy runs were, or we didn't know what distance was. We didn't know what time really was. You would just go out, run, and have fun. Sometimes we would like play tag. It wasn't, and then you start as you get older, you become more competitive. At the end of the day, you love the sport,
But it becomes
it becomes
less of a hobby and more like a job.
and less fun. At the end of the day, if you know what I'm trying to say, it becomes less fun. I gotta say, it was so much more fun when I was a kid because I would go as hard as possible, sprint my butt off to go tag people or in practice, or just have fun in practice talking and jogging. I didn't know what it was, really. I didn't know.
You didn't even know when you were in pain or out of breath or anything.
I mean, during our cross-country races, especially in 5th grade, the course was always muddy, and we would always
Nose
flat out
diving.
in the mud, purposely get all muddy and throw mud on each other, but somehow still run like a 17-minute 2-mile, even though we were playing around. I don't know. It was a different motivation we had, and it was just having fun of sport running. Now COVID had downfalls of me getting into the sport. It had good times, but it had downfalls. I became more fun into the sport. I wanted to become more competitive and more good. So what you gotta do is you can't have fun like that every day in the sport. It becomes more competitive. You have to be more serious about it. It's like this channel. You gotta know when to be goofy. You gotta know when to be serious. Yes, you can be goofy during the warm up and stuff, but you gotta be serious.
When it comes
time to go
a
hard.
workout or to the race or anything, you know when to be serious.
Yeah.
Like, easy runs are meant to be relaxed.
At the end of the day, my whole entire marathon training block was all serious. It was never a joke. It was all seriousness. And at the end of the day, it felt like a job. Yes, it was fun, especially in the race, because I knew what I trained for. I'd finally get a break. But after a race, I'd get a break. And before, I worked so hard. And that was the fun of it. So I guess you can say it was a different type of fun from when you race in middle school and stuff. When you versus when you want to race more competitive.
You mature more, and that maturity rises and takes things to a new level. Like, you have more fun, but then you have more perception. You have more growth. You know what you're doing more, and so when you finish a race, you feel more proud. But when you were a kid, you're like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
What did I finish?
It's almost like school in kindergarten. You color.
Like you don't even feel pride. When you finish a race back in elementary, unless you were super competitive and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, now I feel like, wow, I can't believe I did this,
Yeah, in kindergarten, you would color, and in 5th grade you start to learn more and more. Then before you know it, you work at a job. Before, it was fun, but it gets less fun. But that's just what life brings.
Yeah, I forget.
It's more like a life vlog type of podcast here.
Yeah, I forget.
We were goofy in this, and we were serious.
I forget actually what I was talking about before this, and then when we started talking about this, I actually forgot it, and oops.
One conversation leads to another. A small thing leads to another to another. Like this.
I'm kind of annoyed I actually forgot it because it was actually kind of serious. And now I can't even remember. It kind of makes me annoyed, but that's the way it works sometimes. A conversation leads to another conversation,
and you forget
and then you forget, and then I don't even know.
Remember when we went on the restaurant with Mom that we bought her for Christmas. We just, one conversation led to another, and we were there for 8 hours talking to her.
Yeah, literally. That was
I was
fun.
like, whew.
And it was good food. The seafood medley pasta. That was amazing, son. I would love to eat that pasta every day and not like be like overweight here. But I swear they put so much butter and everything in that I would be the kind of like overweight and stuff. But you know, that's just like the way it works and everything.
Yeah.
We in it?
Ending it? Yes, we're ending it.
It's getting a little dark and it's kind of getting a little hard to see.
Since he broke his camera.
Yeah.
I'm getting a camera soon though.
Yeah,
no more cinematic.
Like my camera broke and like the lens broke. It got like I don't know what it got into it, but I cleaned it wrong, I guess, and it sucks because it's expensive. So you can support us on Patreon. It really does help the channel, and we can actually buy more cameras and everything like that. It just helps the channel grow as well. Thank you for how many subscribers we have. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna end the podcast here. Yeah, it's getting dark because the time is changing and my camera is broken. But anyways, make sure you seek happiness, achieve goals, and find glory. I will see y'all in the next one, and Matthew will see y'all in the next one, and the podcast and everything like that. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Or one of us.
I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But anyways, peace.